Hello and welcome to episode 91 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now, you might be sitting there thinking it was only been less than 2 days ago. That's right, 48 hours ago right now, I released an episode dedicated to the new independent film St. Francis. It's been a great episode. I've been seeing some great feedback in only 2 days. I would never normally do an episode only every couple of days. I mean, you're never going to sustain that. But I jumped on Twitter, I jumped on Facebook, I've been on my phone seeing everyone talking about this new horror film, Host. It's on the network and subscription service Shudder, and everyone has been raving on about it. It was the #1 film in the world on Letterboxd. It's the most discussed film on IMDb. It's been on all the news, I've seen it trending worldwide, and I just thought I have to check this out. People saying things like it's the best horror they've seen in 10 years' time. It's the brand new Blair Witch for today. I was like, wow, I'm excited by this. So a couple of days ago, I checked the film out and it is everything everyone is saying. It's brilliant. It's absolute genius. I will not go into the plot or tell you much about it because it's absolutely crucial to go into this without knowing much about it. It's under an hour, so for anyone like me who has a short attention span, it's great. So what I did is after seeing the film, I jumped on Twitter and I contacted Jed Shepherd, who helped write the film. We literally had a communication that night and he said to me I can do an interview tomorrow, which was yesterday. I sat there, I did the recording and I thought, do you know what? The listeners out there need to hear this episode right away. I don't want to wait. I don't want to put it out in 2 weeks. I want to put it out now. I want the people that have just checked out the film to find out more about Jed, to find out more about how this film happened and just be on the hype train because the response right now is insane. So here I am about to give you an interview with Jed Shepherd. I can't wait to share it with you. I can't wait for people to watch this film and I really can't wait to read all the feedback from you guys because I think this is a great episode. So I've turned around an episode in 24 hours. So how's that? So I think at this point what we should do is get straight to it. So here's me and Jed Shepherd talking all things horror and especially his brand new film which you have to check out, Host. Okay, Jed, thanks for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Thanks for having me.
What I want to do is for the listeners out there that are just getting into your work or discovering about you is take it right back to the start. When you were growing up and you were a kid, was it film that you loved straight away or did it come later on in life?
No, film was my friends. Film's the only thing that I kind of like love even now. Like it's always been film over a lot of things, including relationships and friends. I'm just like I'd rather just watch a movie. So like it was just obvious that I would kind of get into films eventually, just because it's what I like doing the most is just watching films, specifically horror films.
Yeah.
I've always just had an affinity to horror films, which I think some people think is oh, that means like he's really dark or whatever, but I think it's just real catharsis. It's good escapism, and the world's horrible enough as it is. It's great to kind of like watch something that is even worse than the world, and you get that in horror.
And when you were growing up as a kid, can you remember some of those first horrors that you'd watch? I remember myself like going to the Blockbuster video and my dad letting me get Alien and stuff like that. But can you remember the early ones that kind of freaked you out?
I think the first horror film I watched was Evil Dead 2. And like I think it was pretty much in school. Like someone's older brother had like it on like VHS, and I was like, that sounds cool. It sounds scary. Haven't seen the first one, but I'll watch it. And I watched it and I was like, oh my god, this is how film should be. It's just a horror film, and it's comedy, and it's fun, and I'd not seen it before. There's that some of the ones I loved as a kid, obviously the classics like Exorcist, and I had a bootleg of that as well. And like just the kid horror things like Gremlins and things like that. But yeah, I mean, in the serious kind of horror game, it was Nightmare on Elm Street. That was probably one of the first other horror films I watched, and that whole series, and the Halloween like franchise, all the classics really.
And then when you were at school, was it something you could actually think you could make a job out of, or were you kind of not quite sure until college?
I didn't think, I couldn't even comprehend that that's a job. I just didn't really understand that was a job. All I knew that I wanted to, I was just pretty good at writing when I was in school. When I was like 10, I wrote a book that got published. and then nothing since. So I'm really procrastinating. And then I didn't know really where to put this writing skill, which is my only skill, by the way. And so I used to write for like music magazines and film magazines, and I would all just be like, I could do this. Like I'm criticizing of films. Like I'm seeing the flaws in films. Like if I made a film myself, I'd fix those flaws. And I'm not saying that my way is right, but I'm just saying my way is what I want to see. So yeah, all of these like early films that I watched, I would kind of take ideas from that and think, okay, if I was going to do this now, how would I do it? Like, just for instance, Nightmare on Elm Street. If like if I was involved in a remake of that, I would have my own take on what would happen next. Maybe Nancy would be back in as the main character, and maybe I don't know, maybe she's going to deal with Freddy, and I don't know. But anyway, I would kind of like use films I watched as a kid, and I would kind of develop my own ideas on top of it now. And that's kind of how most of my ideas come about, just using stuff that I loved in the past and finding what I loved about them and twisting it and turning them and making it a little bit unexpected to the audience. And in the end, if I like something, then I'm happy with it.
Did you do university or film school or anything like that, or writing school? How did it come about after college?
I went to uni and I did. I've got a degree in English literature, which I mean I always say it doesn't really help, but obviously it does definitely help, because you read the classics, and if you read the classics, you know the patterns on how to make a classic essentially.
Yeah.
You learn how to do, obviously with Shakespeare things, you learn the structure of foreshadowing, especially in things like Macbeth and Hamlet. The foreshadowing and actually all of Shakespeare stuff, it's great foreshadowing which always pays off in the end. And yeah, that's why I love Hamlet so much. And that's the basics of a horror movie. You foreshadow at the start and you get a callback and payoff at the end. And yeah, and you just, the more you read, the more you learn. And being forced to like read a book every single week and write about it and in a critical way just helps you. But I didn't go to film school, and I don't believe in film school. I think film schools teach you one way of doing things, and as you can see from Host, we didn't do it the normal way.
No.
If the normal way right now is to not make a film, but because we don't have the hang-ups of film school and teaching you have to do this, you have to get this person, you have to do this process. To me, it's just putting obstacles in front of yourself. Whereas we just pressed record and filmed our friends. That's it. That's literally it.
So when did it start coming about that you were starting to write films? Because I've seen you've done like Dawn of the Deaf and Salt and stuff like that. How did you get these? How did these come about?
So the very, very, very first thing I did was I produced a sequel to the film Birdemic, which a lot of people don't know about me, but there's this bird movie, which is
I love Birdemic. It's absolutely incredible. I love the graphic and all those little birds on the screen.
Exactly, and I loved it too. I think it's funny, weird, surreal, but I absolutely love the first Birdemic, and obviously that went worldwide. So like I do what I normally do, and I was like, I need to be involved in a sequel somehow. So I emailed like the entire cast. Hey, I'm Jed from the UK. Love the first one. You probably get a million emails like this, but I want to help you make the second one. And I just pestered them enough till they let me. And yeah, so I co-produced it. I helped put it together. I helped with everything really. And one thing I didn't help with is a script, though. I must stress I did not help with the script. Our whole thing was let James Wynn do anything he wants to. We just had to facilitate it in order to get something that's good. And I think Birdemic 2 is a better movie than Birdemic 1. But it's hard to catch lightning twice in a bottle.
So are you a fan of films like Troll 2 and The Room and stuff like that?
I am a fan of that, and I was actually offered to help make a sequel to Troll 2 and a sequel to The Room, and because at one point there was going to be a sequel. I'm not sure how many people know that, but that did come across my emails at one point that they were going to make another one, and I would be involved. But yeah, but then maybe a year after that, I met Rob Savage, who's the director of all the kind of things I've done. because I saw a 1 minute short comedy short that online, and I was like, oh, this is a really funny 1 minute short. So I was just like, I messaged him on Twitter. I was like, mate, that was really funny. That was pretty good. And then it turns out like he lived in London, and we both loved horror films, and he was like, he really wants to make a horror film. And obviously there's no proof he could make a horror film because all I'd seen is a 1 minute short. So like in that first meeting, just in the pub in Greenwich, which is just nearby me, I said to him, okay, I've got this idea for a horror film called Dawn of the Death. Told him the premise, and he was like, I want to make it. And I was like, okay, but let's make something a little bit less ambitious first. So we made a film, we put in our own money, we made it for like 200 quid, and we made a film called Absence, which stars Paul McGann, and that got into London Film Festival and a bunch of other like big festivals. And we were like, oh, this is like really easy. Like this partnership is working really well. We just write something cool, put it into festivals, it'll get us some attention. So that gave us the kind of confidence to make something a bit bigger, which is Dawn of the Death, which is like 13 minutes because Absence was 3 minutes. And we didn't have any money. No one wanted to give us any money because everyone would be like, who wants to watch a movie that's just got deaf people in it, mostly subtitles, is a horror film. So no one would give us money. So again, we put in our own money. We got a little bit of money from the Central School of Speech and Drama, only if we would use some of their students as the actors. That was the deal.
Right.
Because the UK, we asked everywhere, the UK doesn't give money to... No. They'll take credit for us, but they'll never give us the money. So we made it, and we were like, oh, we've got something good here. And then fast forward 300 film festivals later, winning awards at all of them, going to Sundance. It's like, oh, okay, we've proven ourselves, we can do it. And then that got us then Fox approached us to make Salt. They gave us money to make Salt, which stars Alice Lowe. And we made that in a week, and working with Alice Lowe is brilliant. And we put it into a few festivals, and that got the attention of Hollywood basically. And then we got every studio wanted to work with us, so we're working with a bunch of really cool people out in Hollywood for those ones.
And obviously, as we're sitting here right now, I want to talk about Host. At this moment, it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the most popular film on the whole of Letterboxd.
Yeah.
And people are saying stuff like it's the new Blair Witch. It is probably the biggest film in the world right now.
Yeah.
Does that seem absolutely bonkers and surreal, or?
Yeah. Can you imagine? So we've got this WhatsApp group called the Quarantine Movie Club, which everyone who was in the cast and crew is in that WhatsApp group. And we had that from the start of lockdown. We were just watching films together. And so we just decided to make a film because Rob did a prank video which was 2 minutes long. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's literally him. He gets everyone on Zoom. He set it up so there's he goes into his attic. He's hearing noises from his attic. He goes up to his attic. Something jumps out. He falls down and dies. And it was funny. We put it online. It got like 7 million views across all the various different channels, which gave us a little bit of attention. And Shudder just were really good. They said, cool, let's make this into a bigger thing. But we didn't have an idea for a film. So Rob, this is how normally it starts. Rob asks me, do you have any ideas? And I'm like, okay, just give me a chance. And 4:30 in the morning, you'll see it on Twitter. I put the tweet, the message I sent him, the WhatsApp message, which said 2 words, Zoom seance. And that's it. And that's all we pitched to Shudder, Zoom seance. We're going to use our mates, trust us. And to their credit, they trusted us. And they've got the biggest movie in the world right now because they had faith in us. Whereas a lot of places wouldn't trust us. So credit to them. We've never got a single penny out of the UK, to be honest. So we've always had to go to America, which is crazy because horror was so big here in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s with Hammer and Amicus, but it's just not support. There's no infrastructure for it at the moment. So when people claim it as a UK film done good, like I guess we're in the UK, but like it's all US money.
Yeah.
But back to your question, like it's unbelievable. Like none of us can believe it, and we didn't expect it for a single second. We thought maybe the horror community might bite because me and Rob are obviously massive horror fans, and we thought if we like it, then the horror community would like it. But it's mainstream. Like all of the girls were on Fox and Good Morning America yesterday. We're in New York Times. We're in every paper's interviewed us. We've been on all the biggest podcasts in the world. I just literally did the Empire podcast just now.
A good warm up for Mark and me.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a bit of a warm up.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect us to be critically acclaimed as well. And I guess the story adds to it a little bit. The fact that we made it in 12 weeks in lockdown with our mates on Zoom, so that adds to it. But to be 100% Rotten Tomatoes is an absolute pipe dream. Like no one would think that in a million years. Not even your biggest directors would think they would get that. And we're still there. We've been 100% since day one almost. And to be the #1 film in the world on Letterboxd, a site that I go to every single day, is mad. Because like now I log on and I log what films I've watched and stuff and talk to people, and there's my film. There's always the posters right there pointing at me. It is really, really, really surreal, and like the whole lot 1 week and 3 days it's been out. It's just been like a waking dream. I still don't believe it now. It's just a response on social media.
Yeah.
And people, unbelievable, like crazy.
I was sat there last night and I was on Twitter, and every tweet on my main feed was just talking about the host. And I was seeing you obviously retweeting people, but every single person is like, just watch this. And I didn't even realise that kind of Shudder was that big. I know it's got a good network, but I didn't realise that many people. And now it's
it doubled in lockdown, like their subscriber base. And we heard yesterday that they have a sharp upturn in numbers since Host has been out.
Yeah.
So they're very, very, very pleased with us. Yeah, because people are signing up to Shudder just for Host because they're hearing about it. So you sign up and you do the free trial. It's like 30-day free trial. You get to watch a bunch of cool films. It's been a bit good. To say the least.
It must be surreal. I don't know. Obviously, I'm seeing it from the outside, and I'm talking to you, and we're sitting on Zoom talking about it, and it must be just absolutely too much to try and get your head around, because it's so much in a week. Like, I've not seen a film that's been talked about like this in years. I just haven't, because everyone knows about it. You get trailers for stuff like John Wick and Bill and Ted, and you get the hype, and it builds up over a month. This just came overnight last weekend, and now everyone I know and all my horror community friends are just going insane. And I'm like, it's only going to get bigger. Like every day I saw more and more tweets. Like it's going to just keep going.
And we're only in a few territories. Imagine when we're in Europe and South America and Asia, especially Asia. It's going to be crazy. But yeah, I mean, I didn't expect like the plaudits, especially like Dread Central, for instance, saying we're the scariest movie of the decade, as important as the Blair Witch, stuff like that, which just absolutely blows my mind. I read these horror sites every day as well, and they're all saying this is the best horror film for the last 20 years, and it's like, wow, I honestly can't even comprehend it. It is like a dream. But the thing I'm happy about the most is the cast. We've put them in like our shorts. We've known them for years.
Yeah.
They're working actors trying to kind of get noticed, and they're doing, like, Emma was in The Crown for a little bit, and like Gemma was in a big blockbuster last year, just a little role, and they've all done little things here and there, but never in a million years did they think this little Zoom movie would make them the most famous faces on the planet right now. Everyone knows their names. Everybody does. Everyone's like, which host girl are you? So they're getting a lot of attention, which is to me the best thing about it, because I want to see my friends like do well. I don't care about me getting plaudits, and I don't think Rob cares too much as well, because we're fine. We're happy just to like stay in the shadows and kind of just like make movies. But their whole job is to like be seen on screen and get as much attention as possible. So I'm really glad for them.
And I mean, at the moment now, seeing the way it's blown up and it's gone absolutely insane, you're going to be inundated with requests and stuff to do work. What I have seen on your own Twitter and obviously the work and the announcement is that you're going to be working with Sam Raimi. Now, it doesn't get much better than that when one of the first films you saw was the Evil Dead films. This guy, for me, is up there with John Carpenter when it comes to horror. And to know that your big project, you'll be working on the story and executive producer is fucking insane. Like,
yeah, it is. I can't believe it. I can't believe it as well. But it's one of those ideas. So Raimi really loves our shorts. He loves Salt and he loves Dawn of the Deaf a lot. So he just wanted to work. He just wants to work with us. So again, Rob was like, "Do you have like Raimi really wants to work with us? Do you have any ideas?" And I was like, "I've got this one idea, and it's one of the best ideas I've ever had." And then me and Rob just batted it back and forth until we had something like we were really, really happy with. But it's one of those ideas you think someone's got to have done this before. But luckily, me and Rob between us have seen every single horror movie. So like we know we know it's an original idea, but it's almost too good to be true. And we have to make it quick because someone else will think of it. It's on the tip of everybody's tongue, but no one's done it yet. A bit like Host, in fact.
Yeah.
So when Raimi heard it, when Sam Raimi heard it, he was just like, holy F, this is
you can
incredible.
swear on this podcast.
Okay, good. Holy fuck. Like, so, and he loves it as much as us. And we've been doing table reads with him, and it's been so cool just to see Sam Raimi being Sam Raimi, like reacting to like stuff that you've created and like adding to it as well. Him, like when we've got a particular like set piece like down, you think, okay, there's no way that this can be changed because it's perfect. He'll just suggest something, and you'll just be like, oh my god, of course, that's the much better way. And you just think, this is Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Like he's always going to have the better take, really, in most cases. So just the combination of me and Rob and the guy who's writing it, who's Mike Aranum, who we're working with closely with the story, having Sam Raimi on board to add to like our crazy team is like insane. He's my favorite director, and Rob's as well, and it's mental. And actually, Rob was wearing like an Evil Dead 2 t-shirt to the last meeting as well, and Sam like saw it, and then he just didn't say anything. I was like, oh, awkward. But is
there anything you can tell us about this film? Obviously, you don't want to ruin this story that you're keeping under wraps, but is there anything you can tease us with or give us an idea of what to expect?
It's very much in the vein of stuff you've seen from us before.
Yeah.
And I know it was released on Deadline as a contained supernatural horror. I would say that's the wrong description. I would not. I would say it's not a contain. I think "contain's" the wrong word.
Yeah.
Because it's not contained. But yeah, it's Sam Raimi meets Host, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's honestly going to be the most fun. And people, when I can't wait till the first trailer comes out of it, and people will just be like, "Oh my god, they've done this!" Like. It's gonna kill the internet, I think, just because people won't believe like the stuff we've got planned for it, and it's so exciting just to be in the same kind of like room as Sam Raimi when he's like being Sam Raimi. But I'm really excited. But again, I can't say too much. So
is this all going to be next year then? Once the lockdown's sorted and we're back to normality, are we looking at probably the end of next year?
Yeah. But again, like we've got our dance cards is quite full, but I want to make that roughly next, personally. But again, it's to do with schedules and if we're allowed to, because that's one that you can't do in a lockdown situation, unfortunately. That one you need a full set and you need a full team.
Probably a lot of people are going to start asking you, will we see a sequel to Host or another spin-off or like the Paranormal Activity films? Have you got anything in mind, or would you like to leave it as just being this one-off?
Well, it happened from day one. People were saying like we want to see Host 2. I mean, I'll say that I'll never say never, but I think there's no point in revisiting this particular scenario anytime soon. I mean, I love it, and I love the cast, and I love what we've done. It's my favorite thing we've done, but. No, I personally don't want to see this straight away. I think it'll be a cheap cash-in if we do it straight away. Saying that, I do want to work with Shudder. We want to work with Shudder again very, very quickly. So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
But we've got more plans for the very near future, and obviously, I'm sure that they didn't realize how big of a hit this would be because no one, it's never happened before.
No.
Shudder have never had something this big, never. Um,
I bet
I mean,
Netflix
horror.
like, oh fuck, and Amazon Prime are like, damn it, why did we say
Tell you
no?
what, like Netflix had their chance.
Yeah.
Netflix had their chance with Host, and they are probably not too happy with their decision makers. But yeah, no, it just works perfectly with Shudder because I love it. It feels like real grassroots horror as well. It feels like the people there are all horror fans as well. Like
It's the same
doesn't
about
feel
Arrow
awful.
Video. Arrow Video and Shudder,
Yeah.
for me, they're the ones you go to, and they're always going to be loyal. And I like the fact that you kind of can't just switch your TV on and find it. You've got to look a bit further, or
Yeah,
you need subscriptions.
exactly.
It's good. The people in that know their horror, know where to go, and I always hear Shudder and Arrow.
Exactly, and like, yeah, I absolutely love Shudder, and like, really, really, really nice people who are just as excited as us. Like when we're on a call with them, like yesterday we had like a cast and crew picnic in the park, and Emily from Shudder came with as well. And it was just so good just to see her reaction to it all and just being really excited for us and for herself because like she's integral into it as well. So yeah, it's just a perfect marriage, really, Shudder and Host, and yeah, I am totally up for doing a sequel at a much later date, but
Yeah.
not right now. We'll let the dust settle first.
And one thing I think is quite interesting about this film is the runtime. So knowing it's under an hour, do you think sometimes it's less is more because so many films now are getting shorter in length? You know, it's rare that people have the patience to go and watch like a Christopher Nolan 2.5 hour or 3 hour film, and you see the general public going, "Oh, it's too fucking long. I get bored." To have an under an hour film, I think, is perfect for like people's attention span and just for people that just want to be entertained before bed instead of a long 3 hour epic. And maybe this is the way now that your movie might set the bar of, well, actually, you can do a good film in an hour.
This is the thing. Like before Host, there was no concept of like a film that was a feature film that was an hour long. That wasn't like a TV movie type thing. So now people are like, yeah, this is actually a perfect length. I can watch this before bed. I can watch this before picking up the kids or whatever. I mean, I always like when I watch a film, I check the runtime. If it's 90 minutes or less, I'm in straight away. I'll watch that over something that's like 2.5 hours long for sure. And that's why most horror movies are like 90 minutes or less, just because that's the attention span of a horror fan. If you get it to the magic 56-minute mark, that's even better because it means they can watch more horror films.
Definitely.
But the main reason why we did it was because we wanted it to feel like a real Zoom call, and the free Zoom limit is 40 minutes before it cuts out. So we just thought, wouldn't it be funny if at the 40-minute mark it cut out? And so we kind of built. So in the movie time, it's 40 minutes, but in real life, it's 56 minutes. But if you're watching the clock, it's 40 minutes cycle. Yeah, so it was always going to be that short. There was no talk of making it longer at all. If we release it on, actually, I'm skirting around it. It's going to be released, obviously, like to other regions and stuff, not just the Shudder regions. And fingers crossed, physically, you'll see the extra stuff as well. You'll see making of, because I think the making of thing is going to be the really interesting thing, and the main reason for people to buy the DVD or Blu-ray, because people will want to know how we did this, and it is crazy how we made it. We just MacGyvered the entire thing, and it is the blueprint that I think people will use going forward if they want to make something intimate at home. And hopefully a generation of filmmakers and horror filmmakers will be like, okay, this is how they did this. You can do practical stunts in your own home. You just need this, and this. Very easy, very cheap. So yeah, we pen and tell out all of our secrets, and we show everyone how it's done, and a making of thing that we're currently assembling. And
awesome. That sounds really. You're teasing us a lot on this podcast today. I've got a couple more questions for you. I know you're still quite early into your career, but it doesn't matter if you've got this legacy or you're starting out. I ask every guest that comes on the podcast, what advice do you give to people that are listening today that want to try and become a writer like you or a director or want to make a name for themselves in an industry that is so hard to get into. I mean, you struck gold with this, but not everybody has the luck of host and the timing and the way it's been. What advice, because you've been obviously going at it a long time.
Yeah, genuinely, I don't feel part of the film industry at all. So it's kind of a funny question. I don't hang around in film networking circles. I'd rather not do that. I never went to film school. I don't have an agent or a manager. I don't do those things. I'd rather just watch films. I'm just a film fan. And like I said, my only talent is writing, and it just makes sense to partner it together. So my big advice for people who want to write for film is watch as many as possible, and watch the best stuff, but also watch the worst stuff, so you know what mistakes not to make. And especially for horror film writers, you need to especially watch the terrible stuff, because everyone's seen the good stuff. Everyone knows how that's done. But I personally watch every single terrible horror movie that comes out. I'm surrounded by VHS right now. I watch every bad movie that's ever been made, because I want to know what mistakes were made, how those mistakes can be changed. So it's just generally having film knowledge and knowing how films are structured. And I think the best way to do that is just to watch as many films as possible. And then once you've done that and you feel like you've got a good knowledge of that, meet your crew, meet the people who are going to take you forward. Like, I think if it wasn't for Rob and vice versa, none of us would be in this position. Like, we're such a strong team, and we have the same references, that we wouldn't be anywhere near the level we are without that. And also we've used the same crew the entire time through all of our films as well, and basically the same cast. We used Hayley, Regina, and Caroline in Dawn of the Death. Emma and Gemma came from my film that hasn't come out yet, called Multiplex. Actually, they're all in Multiplex. All of the girls are in Multiplex. Like, luckily, so luckily they're all in there. So when that comes out, that's the girls from Host in Multiplex. So yeah, it's just finding just cool people that are not dicks and you can get on with. I know that's hard in this industry, but yeah, just again, I'm not the best person, because I don't really care about the industry part of it. I just care about the film part of it.
Yeah. And I think we should finish today on the topic of Mac and Me.
Oh, yeah.
What a great film this is that not enough people give enough love for.
Oh, Mac and Me is crazy. Obviously, the E.T. rip-off McDonald's advert.
Yeah.
But it's something about it that's just so weird. And, like, I think the character of Mac feels more alien than E.T. does. Alien seems like he's been a prosthetic being made, but Mac, because the film's so chaotic, you just think maybe this alien is an alien, because it's just such a weird movie. Like, how did this movie get made? Like, absolutely insane. But no, I love it. Like, I need to buy it on, like, is there a good Arrow Blu-ray or?
No, there's not. Annoyingly, I think there's a release in America, so it's like a Region A Blu-ray.
Right.
But you can't. I've had to just buy the DVD on Amazon, but I try and show it people. I'm like, this is the film that E.T. tried to be, and they were like, fuck off. But I'm like,
you have all the extra stuff in it with, like, the wheelchair kids and stuff.
I know, it's insane. But like I just love it. It's got something magical about it, and I just think, like, I know it's stupid. I know it's like an advert all the way through for McDonald's, but the fact that he needs Coke to be brought back to life, and that he's sitting there with Skittles, and the only way he can be is in McDonald's and dancing with Ronald and stuff. And I think, I know it's a massive advert, but I love it.
I do too. And, like, do you know what? Like the partnership of me and Rob, like, if it wasn't for me, Rob would be making, like, real classy art house movies. And if it wasn't for Rob, I'd be making Mac and Me 2 and Mac and Me 3. Because my mentality is, like, silly, funny, kind of adventure movies. I want to make those type of things, as well as the horror, but, like, together, like, we add the kind of art side and the kind of commerciality, kind of fun side. Because I always think that an audience should be, number one, just entertained before anything, whether that comes in the form of comedy or scares. It doesn't matter, as long as they're entertained. And yes, Macamee is one of those movies.
Well, the thing is, you got Birdemic 2 done, so why can't you do this for Macamee? Because when I interviewed the director of Macamee, he said that they've still got the doll, they've still got the puppet,
Do they?
and the writer still walks around with it and keeps it safe in a suitcase. And I'm thinking, like, at the end of Macamee, we get the car driving off and it says "We'll be back," and there was always meant to be a sequel.
Yeah.
Maybe you're the guy to bring it back.
I would honestly, I'm always like in the mood for remakes. I'm always trying to get myself involved with like sequels and stuff. But like, there's honestly, we've got too many movies like on the go now. We've got a lot on
When
our,
the
on our
time's
plate.
right, you need to let me know, and we're going to get Macamee 2 done.
Okay. Well, honestly, get those filmmakers in touch with me. I'd be interested in talking to them about it. Like, I think I could put an interesting spin on it.
Yeah, Burger King comes in to try and rival it.
Yeah, Nando's.
That'd be unbelievable.
But yeah. Macamee's brilliant.
And I normally wish people luck, but you don't need any luck, mate. I mean, you're sitting here now with the biggest film in the world. Like I said, Rotten Tomatoes 100%. It's the biggest film on Letterboxd, and I just think it's insane. I think your world's going to be completely changed overnight. And you're the guy that in a year's time people will be like, you won't get him on the podcast because you're too busy. You're just going to be everywhere.
I promise you, like, I am going to, anyone who asks me on the podcast, I just make sure they're not a crazy person. And as long as they're not a crazy person, then I'll come on, because why not? I'm a film fan. I want to talk about films. So like, honestly, like, I love talking about films. So I'm never not going to talk about films. Yeah.
I'll hold you to that in like 3 years when you're absolutely huge. You got an Oscar and stuff, and I'll be like, you'll be like, oh, I don't know who the fuck you are. Bye.
You'll be like, Jed, you promised me first interview after the Raimi film. You'll be like, oh, shit.
Yeah, and Macamee 3's out.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate your time, Jed. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I can't wait for the world to start buying the host. I know a lot of people are going to want it on DVD and Blu-ray, and hopefully it'll come onto other streaming services. But you've done something very special, and you should be very proud.
I am proud, but I can't comprehend it yet. So I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm just feeling like a dream. So, but yeah, very, very grateful and like overwhelmed, and yeah, it's hard to know what to say, really.
So there it is. There's my interview with me and Jed Shepherd. What a cool guy, considering his whole world has changed in a whole week. He even admitted he never expected the film to be this successful. Who does? Whoever releases a film that expects it to be the #1 trending film in the world? No one does. I mean, it's always a dream. This guy's got such a big career ahead of him. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And you got to look at the fact is, he's going to be now getting involved with the one, the only, Sam Raimi. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. He talked on the interview about how Evil Dead was one of his favourite films, one of the first horrors he's seen, and now he gets to work with the director. It does actually just show that all this hard work has paid off, and do you know what? I can't wait to get him back on the podcast and talk more about horror and see where his career takes him. What a great interview, what a great guy, and I'm just thrilled for him and everyone that's been involved in this film. As always, guys, I like to talk about, obviously, my website. So if you jump onto markandme.com, there's links on there to all of my previous 91 episodes. They're all free. They're all on Spotify. They're all on iTunes. They're all on Podomatic and Stitcher. So if you're new to this podcast and this is the first time you've checked it out because of this film, go back. There's interviews with people like Mads Mikkelsen, Anthony Hopkins, Kevin Smith, Neil Blomkamp. You name it, they're on there. But yeah, it's all on there for free. I also have a Patreon, so if you go on markandme.com, you can see Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email. But yes, my Patreon page is set up. All the support is really appreciated, especially right now while we're on lockdown. All the money that gets donated via that goes back into the podcast. It gets to buy rewards and prizes for all of those people that support me via Patreon. But it also means that I can go out there and do more episodes, get more and more interviews, which means more podcasts for you guys. At the moment, in the last week, you've had 3 episodes, which isn't bad going. And you know what the good news is? I've got a great director interview coming up this weekend. So as you're sitting here now, you're listening, you're going to get a brand new Mark and Me in only 3 or 4 days' time. I'm giving you 4 episodes in the last sort of 9 days. And it's not going to stop because all the interviews are coming through, and it's a really good time at the moment to get hold of people, get these interviews done, and get you more and more material. I'm so grateful for you checking out today's episode. If I haven't banged the drum hard enough today, please go and check out Host. It's on Shudder. It's worth the subscription on there. I think it's £5 or £6 a month. The horrors on there are absolutely fantastic, but there's even a 30-day free trial. So if you go on there, you can sign up, watch the film, watch some others, and if you don't think it's for you, hey, you still got to see Host. Please stay safe. Look after yourself, everyone. I'll be back with a brand new episode in a few days' time. Thanks for listening. Take care. See you soon.